Obviously, one of the questions I always get is Hank, what do you think of Tiger's swing? And what are the changes that you made in his swing? What did you think he did before that was really good, and what did you try to improve on? Well, to me, the number one really fundamental after you get set up to the ball is the plane of your swing. And what I did is I explained to Tiger my theory of swinging the golf club with parallel planes. So you're either on the angle of the shaft or you're above but parallel to the angle of the shaft. Meaning that here's my address position, I swing back along the angle of that shaft. Now I'm above but parallel to the angle of that shaft. What Tiger tried to do was he explained the theory that he was using before. He'd draw a line up through his shoulders. And then he had a certain area in here, up here at the top, where he wanted the golf club to be. There was this area up here somewhere at the top that was what he called the gray area. And as long as it was in that gray area, it was okay. Well, what I explained to him was that there's a lot of variance in the angle of the shaft, that you could be in that gray area there, you could be in that gray area there, but these planes are all different. And what happens is when your golf club gets off plane, when the angle of the shaft changes, it will always tend to oscillate and change back. So I'm upright, and then I'm on the plane, and now next thing you know, I'm flat. You know, everybody knows the biggest problem that Tiger's had is he talks about getting the club stuck behind him. Well, when your golf club is more upright at the top of the swing, it might be in that gray area that he was talking about, but it's more upright. And when it's more upright, it is going to try to get back to the angle of the plane that is the original angle of the shaft at address. So what he would always do is he'd get the golf club up at the top, and it would tend to be more upright, and to me pointed too much to the right or across the line. You see, this is more of a laid off position. This is more of an across the line position. When the golf club is upright or across the line, it always will tend to flatten out. And when it does, it tends to flatten out too much, because that's one of the laws of motion. You go in motion a certain way, it stays in motion that way unless you interfere with it. So what happened was his club was upright, a little bit across the line, pointed more at the target, if you will, but short of parallel. His swing has always been short. A big key for him was always to try and shorten his swing, because he didn't want the golf club to go too much this way, so he would shorten his swing. A lot of people think like that. The problem is even though this golf club is short of parallel, it's still too upright. It's upright relative to my parallel plane theory. And when that club gets upright, it is going to tend to flatten out, and the club is going to get stuck behind him. So what I was trying to do was get the golf club above but parallel to the original angle of the shaft. No gray area, no area that you can be in. You're either on that plane or you're not. You're either on that plane or you're not. And that plane angle is dictated by the original angle of the shaft. You're above it, but parallel to it. And throughout the whole swing, what I tried to do was make sure that golf shaft was parallel to or on the original angle of the shaft's plane angle. When you get the golf club up like that, then you can bring the golf club back down in front of you correctly. If the golf club is too upright at any point, it will flatten out. And when it flattens out, for a better player, that club's going to get stuck behind. Now, a poorer player might have gotten it upright and just come down more upright, but not a better player. They're going to get the club upright, and they're going to flatten it out too much. And that golf club's going to always have a tendency to get stuck behind them. There may be times when the timing is just right, and that golf club gets upright, and then it flattens down just the right amount, and then he turns through that shot and hits this perfect shot. But when that golf club is oscillating, and it's tending to go like this, it's going to sometimes get too flat. And when it does, it gets stuck behind you. Now you're stuck. If you stay back, your hands release, and you hook the ball. If you move forward from this position, you end up blocking it to the right. By getting the golf club more on line at the top, on the plane, parallel to the original angle of the shaft, that gave him the opportunity to rotate his arms down in front of him and get the golf club out in front of him. The length of the backswing really has nothing to do with the plane of the swing. You're either on that plane or you're not. If you're above that plane, no matter how far you go back, you're either on that plane or you're not, and then you can bring it down on that correct plane. That was the real key. What I tried to do was, if anything, make sure that Tiger was either on plane or a touch laid off. If there was a gray area that I wanted, it was on plane, or if anything, if he's going to make a mistake, I wanted that golf club to be a little left at the top. The reason being, when the golf club is more left at the top, the golf club will do this when it comes down. That's the action. That's the reaction. That golf club's out in front of me. Actually a little too much, but it's not stuck. When the golf club is here at the top, it's always going to rebound this way. When it rebounds this way, now you got it stuck behind you. So on the correct plane, or even feeling a little laid off, is what you would want if you have a tendency to be upright and have it stuck behind you. When the golf club is pointed more left at the top, then you can bring it down more out in front of you, and then you can swing the golf club a little more to the left, which allows you to be able to hit some cut shots, which for a better player is a safer shot, especially off the tee. They don't want that ball hooking too much. Tiger hated the ball to go to the left, so it just couldn't go left. So by getting the golf club on the correct plane, or even just a little left at the top, I assured that at least that ball was not going to be hooking, because he wasn't going to get the golf club stuck behind him. And that was really the main change. I mean, that was one of the real fundamental changes. And the theory that I had was the parallel swing plane theory. And that's really what allowed him to, I think, get the golf club out in front of him a little bit better, and allowed his ball striking statistics to be so good.